Hello traders, this is Alex with the StockMatrix program. We're going to do a quick weekend update. Now the moon periods that we trade on are now into Tuesday, so you'll have to check out the X account here, the CBOT Man 33 handle, as you can see here. This is my standard intro. You can look back, check some stuff, have some commodity stuff on there, back from my old roots, and different things. So, but the X account will, since I probably won't do another video, I'll probably just do them on the weekends. But anyway, there might be some trades, right? So this is where you can check it out. All right, let's go to the portfolio from bar chart. You can see that just kind of messing around, but just trying to hoovering from 44,000 to probably 38,000 fluctuation in our 17 select stocks. We have 17,819 closed positions. Again, they can't take that away. And again, just if you're new, I started this arbitrarily on January 6th. Which happened to be a low, so I went with the trend. So every trade that I put on was a loser, and it flipped up and went higher, right? So kind of just so you understand, a quick little, you can look through these, you can pause it if you want, or go back. I recommend going back to some of the old videos because it'll tell you a little bit how I'm trying to teach you how to use options and also how to create a system, right? Systematic approach is a no-brainer to me. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 decades. I trade options, so I like trading everything, but options make sense to me because it keeps the emotional part out of it. Anytime you can get rid of something like emotion, greed, hope, fear is a good thing, and it'll increase your odds. Again, because all you got to do is beat the house by 1%, you're going to win over time, right? Now, of course, hopefully, you can do better than that. But a lot of people out there are bagging on options, how they don't work. I've watched a few of their videos. They're stupid. I mean, they don't have no clue what they're doing. I don't know why they. Now, if you have ungodly amount of money, okay, fine. But most people have only, 10, 5, 4 grand, 100 grand. You're limited on funds. So the leverage of these options are well worth it. Again, there's a peace of mind knowing that if a 9/11 hits, all you have risk is what you have in the options. If you've got calls on, right? Now, if you got puts on, you're going ee. So anyway, that's enough of that. Let's actually go. Oh yeah, we have 75 trades too, but 17 are the current ones. So not a whole lot of trades, but enough that it's active. Let's go to the matrix, the trade sheet, and you can see there's not really a whole lot going on there. No new trades, and you can pause this and look at it. Here is the statistical page, and we do have. I kind of kept the ones from the weekend or Friday, so we do have a lot, coming in. Basically, this weekend could be Friday, could be Monday, right? Knowing somehow the annuals work. Not a whole lot of 45s. Again, here's your 45s over here. So again, it is what it is. Let's go to NVIDIA. Again, let's go through the stock matrix chart. Again, quarter moons of time and the square of 9 is price. How these are charted. 1-to-1, squaring out the range, that kind of thing are still obvious. So price and time work the same, right? It's just a chart that I use on here. But you can see just kind of a here and there, the stops will be moved up to this level right here after Tuesday, once we get through this moon period, which ends on the 27th at 3 in the morning. So again, we'll just count that as the 27th. Here's Meta. And over here, I ain't gonna change these because I think I'll do that when I go review the daily charts. Anyway, Meta just kind of inside period so far. The stop will get moved up to a more manageable level. It'll still be a small loss Tuesday. Here is Coke. Again, a diamond kind of pattern. I don't know why it's way over here, but you can see this diamond pattern is a unique pattern. It happens every once in a great while. Once you break the diamond, you go with it up or down. That's just the trading rules. So again, you can see we're kind of made a new top by a new all-time high by just a little bit, a couple boxes. So not much to report. The trend is down and we are short. We're kind of hoovering on the solar eclipse closes, right? Since the previous one and this current one are almost at the same level. So again, makes sense to me that we're just messing around. Google kind of had a crappy close Friday. Still up, still friendly. The stops will get moved to here, of course, Tuesday. Microsoft, again, weird ass gaps, but next week or Tuesday, the stops will get to here, for Wednesday's trade and on after that moon period. So that is definitely a lock-in profit. We got long before the stupid gap. Do not buy Microsoft AI because they can't even, talk about their own market. I hate that. Amazon, here is kind of into the gap, right? Makes a little sense. Another weird ass gap. Um, the stops will get moved to here Tuesday. Here's Apple. Stops almost got stopped out on this trade. So again, if you listened to me last week, I was preaching that Apple looked a little heavy. It still does. The short-term trend is now down with another stupid little gap in here. Again, I marked these in gray so I can tell that that's the gap to fill or whatever, right? So anyway, it didn't even get to the solar eclipse close. That's how weak it was. Why, I don't know. I'm sure that Doge has something to do with that. Finding a bunch of phone numbers that they don't even use. Ever getting charged for. What? Oh, Jesus. Tesla stops will remain the same price. Still at a small loss. The chart itself has popped up. We can see we're on the one back to the 1-to-1, so it definitely resistance. But this is obviously the target, the 1-to-1 off the high, and this is the price. A squaring. Again, used to call this the cardinal cross when you get two 1-to-1s bearing down on the market. Here's Lynn. 45 days over from the high was this weird outside period, and of course, me and outside periods. I think they're neutral, and that's how we're trading it, neutral. We were down for that moon period, and then we're up again because you got to have two boxes. But we also got long when it went up. So now it's the short-term trend is up and the long-term trend is up, obviously, because we're long. The stops will get moved to here, a little tighter Tuesday. Here is ED, Edison, New York Electric Company. Stops will get moved here Tuesday. Couldn't bust it out over these highs yet. So the short-term trend is still down. I could see it trying to do that maybe Tuesday. It might be a sell in my book, or Monday. Here's Adobe. Again, similar to finding a bunch of phones, Apple phones. I think we were getting charged a bunch of Adobe. So I think that's why we've started this bear trend. Somebody probably got their pocket lined a little bit, in my opinion. So anyway, its trend is up. And again, we have another gap. This is the gap in this chart over. Here's IBM. Stops will get moved to here. Definitely manageable. We'll still be at a small loss Tuesday. So if we have a bad Monday or Tuesday, the stops will be adjusted accordingly. Here is BK, again, one that's got a new high on the daily chart, which we'll look at, but this one is a double top so far. We still closed fairly decent. We haven't fallen apart. I could see it, maybe the trend turning down and going back to this level area down in here somewhere, or back to the solar eclipse close, right? This will be the area, if I happen to miss it, and don't talk about it. This is important to me. The solar eclipse close, whenever it is. We don't know how long it'll take. But the stops will get moved here Tuesday. So again, actual small profit on that trade if we can adjust to the stops. This was one that's fairly current. We just got turned long on May 21st. I think there's only a couple that are short yet, and they're all on the edge. So yeah, not much to report there. Pretty ugly, really. Still kind of bearish. Again, the solar eclipse close. This area is logical, right? You got the 1-to-1 plus the solar eclipse close, 180 degrees and 90 degrees over from the high, 45 over from the low. So again, there's a lot of stuff here to probably keep the lid on that a little bit. And the trend is down, so long term. So again, you got a lot of people still selling it. And the swing traders are down as well. Stops in JPM will get moved to here. And not much to report. The short-term trend did go down, again, because two boxes, right? So, but we didn't get stopped out or anything because the stops are down here. Short-term trend down, long-term trend up, back to the 1-to-1 off the high, which is probably support, and actually the cardinal cross. So it makes sense to me that we're in that type of zone. 45 days over also this moon period. So pretty key. Could be a high, could be a buy. We don't know yet. System don't care about any of that. It just goes with stuff and the advantage of a system. The stops will remain the same price after Tuesday, so not much change there. You can see we're up against the all-time or the major low on the Coinbase, the COIN. 90 degrees over was this area, but it was kind of a gap, so a little unknown yet if that's a bearish period or a bullish period. 45 days over from the low is this period, so definitely some activity, potential high for sure. Of course, Coinbase. Kind of, I wish I could have had a Bitcoin or something, but I didn't want to. That's way too much money. I wanted to keep it in the option markets that are obvious. Cintas, the creeper, I think it's going to keep creeping. Probably make new highs several times this year and just kind of keep creeping. The 20% decline after the stock split, pretty classic rip-off. Stops will get moved here Tuesday, still a small loss. The solar eclipse is down here, which we have not tested on the thing yet. Let's go to the daily chart. Hey, hang on, let me set it up. Yeah, since we didn't have any really new trades, I'm going to buzz through these. I'm not going to get too technical. You can kind of review them. I'll give you my little leaning opinion on it. Um, but as a index, right, the 17 select stocks, there's just not much to report, which is good, right? When you got the options on, you want it to trend, and that's what so far it's been doing. We made this significant low on the 7th or 8th or 9th on a lot of these charts, and now we're going into the second month off the low. So pretty important stuff. 66 days over on this NVIDIA. This one, the 16th, was the cycle of that. Now we're on the fourth cycle, which won't be till July 1st. 99 off the secondary high or primary. 33, and again, I won't mention this again, but the 7th, which again was pretty key, 33 market days off of that, which is again number, is today or Friday. Then today is the 24th, so 23rd was this low day. Again, the solar eclipse closes down here, lunar eclipse also. So it's got to, it could definitely correct and not really make it bearish. Here's Meta. You kind of look at it, it's just here to there. For some reason, I lost a lot of I had to spend some time and go through my annuals. I won't pull that annual chart up over here. I got all of them, but you can look at other videos and if you want and get those. I'm going to keep the chart full so you can see the main scope of the markets. This bear trap was key, pretty easy, and it did respond in kind. Once Trump started, the stuff started taking effect, the markets have really responded friendly, if that means anything. Again, the system don't care about that. StockMatrix could give a rip. So here's Coke. Again, there's that kind of the diamond pattern. You got again, just a topper. I mean, it hasn't really done anything since last 3 months. Here's Google, popped out the highs. Kind of had a swing. That's kind of a swing breakout, in my opinion. So the swing traders are probably now long and feeling like they bit into a poison pill here, because it looks like that's a reaction. Now again, we're just down covering the close. It doesn't mean much yet, but solar eclipse closes right here, and that will be support. Now we've already hit it several times, so we don't have to do that again, but that will be support. Here's Microsoft. Again, bullish gap. I don't know why they got to have gap. Again, their AI should be fired. But now we're up here. We're made a new high. One of the markets have made a new high. And I think I forgot to change that date on the sheet that I just looked at. But anyway, we have some timing. 110, which again is a sequence of 11 market days. 33 over from the high. 1990 was a high. An annular came in. So there was a lot of stuff here, and it did gap down. So tomorrow, Monday's trade will be pretty important for Microsoft if it gaps down or has a reversal down or outside day down, or if it has up, right? And this was a buying opportunity. Here's Amazon, kind of poked a high and then just slowly retreated, and it doesn't matter, right? It's just working its gap out. Technically, that doesn't mean much to me. Never should have gapped up. Again, 33 though, was this a low? So if you were trading, not trading my system, you'd be like, or let's say you didn't put on the trade and now you're putting it on, you definitely wouldn't feel too bad buying this breakdown here, or buy stops over this high or something like that if you're want to stay with the short-term trend or intraday chart or something. Here's Apple. Again, this weak stick right here's the solar eclipse range. It just couldn't even get to that. It just looked weak. We broke the support with a gap. Again, Apple's in trouble. And like I've said in the last 2 videos, don't buy the pooch. Microsoft is a wood monster. A few others have made new highs. Don't buy the freaking one that looks cheap, dang it. If I could beat that into people, I would. It's like buying gold or silver. Gold is the stud, and silver is the pooch. Don't buy because it looks cheap. There's a reason why Apple is down here, right? Don't buy the freaking pooch because it looks cheap. And again, everybody's loaded up with Apple, so they can, can't have a hard time. Here's actually a little diamond pattern. I didn't notice this before until just now. That's a little. Those diamond patterns are pretty freaking good. I mean, so are all the continuational, the flags, the pennants. But these little diamonds, those are. It ain't quite right, but it got that shape that I like. 3 highs, kind of 3 lows. And pivot in the middle is timing. So the 22nd or 2022 was a low, a major low, and kind of just an inside event. So movement beyond this lows would be pretty bearish. 33 over from the low, so also in the hunt. Now, or new highs would be kind of friendly too, especially on a gap Monday. Would be pretty, I think, almost an automatic buy, unless it's way high gap, something stupid up here. Then you leave it alone. Here is Lynn. That bear trap was obvious. It was simple, fast, aggressive. I would have made, on my system that I use for bear and bull traps, you'd have been out the same day or the next day, doubled your money easy. So now that's all I try to do is double my money. Here's ED. Uh, yeah, this was the Edison Bank. This was a safe play. The 7th was the lows, which was the next day. So obviously this is a spreader. I call it the spreader. The professionals were buying ED and out of the rest, and then once they felt the lows were in, or knew that they were going to be in, they dumped the ED and then bought the others. So again, the 7th was a key period, and no different than on ED. Now it happened to be a day before, so they knew something, right? Which was a hint. Here's Adobe, kind of weak stick. Another gap up for Christ's sakes. Not much report there. It looks a little weak to me. Adobe long term is, on a quarterly, monthly, it's definitely down. So be a little cautious picking on Adobe. Now, if you're going to pick, make sure you do it some type of trap, right, where it's making a new low, or if you got to buy, right? Some people just cannot sell. Here's IBM, kind of a bull. We just made a new high, a few days back. Again, I think I forgot to put that one in there too. But anyway, so we got some timing in here today, with the 33 again from the 7th, and also some annuals and this low back, way back here. That was the pre-COVID low. Anyway, that's the circle thing. So that's pretty important, right? So yeah, I kind of like the break. It doesn't look real negative. I don't like the fact that, again, obviously, fundamentally, I'm guessing we're getting a little overvalued when we get up here because it immediately drops back down. Again, I don't know the fundamentals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to advocate fundamentally. I think support would be the solar eclipse close. So, buy back in here would make sense if you're trying to buy a dip. Here is BK, again, popped a little high and then declined. Had timing. So, again, 33 over was, again, we have a lot of flag patterns on the 33 off the low. Now, this low is the 24th on the Procter & Gamble, kind of had a head and shouldery look. A bear trap, from this snagglepuss. So I like all that. I like the reaction. It's still a weak stick, though, and tough to buy blindly. Move on. JPM, again, a flag pattern so far. 66 off the high, plus 33 off the low. So it has some interest to me. Again, if buy stops will go over probably this high here if you're trying to buy a little pop back. Here's Coinbase, again, just a creeper. The gap reacted friendly and it hasn't challenged it. Solar Eclipse closes down here, which I would be buyer of that support. Here's Cintas, the creeper. I think it'll continue to creep. All right, I'm done. Well, let's go through the indexes real quick. Here's this S&P. Here's the Dow. Here's the mini NASDAQ. The QQQ. Again, let's delete this one now. We know it's went down. So yeah, 7th of pretty active. Again, I put all the timing so you can go back and look. 33 was this low. 44, well, 11. So again, you can see what we're on. 33 right now, plus the 66. So again, the QQQ is kind of matching up with a few of the other stuff. This is important. So a gap up, gap down Monday, or doesn't have to gap, but usually that's what it does. All right, I am done. Thank you, everybody. Have a rest of your great weekend and have a great profitable next week.